back with a new series of pop-up tutorials. This one is about building with a number of things. So what I've taken it from, the book is called Moomin's Most Magical Pop-Up Book. And there isn't a credit to the paper engineer, so I'm sorry, I can't help with that. And what I want to look at is this final spread, which is a tea party that has just always quite pleased me. It's quite complicated. It's quite interesting. There's a lot going on. And so I've broken it down into how to make this. Here in the middle, the table is a basic box design. That is tutorial 14. And so I'll make that. And then it has these interesting shapes on the end of the box that enable you to build out parallel folds that can then lift up the people who are sitting around the table. And it can build them out at an angle to the central. The box design is all based on pieces that are parallel to the spine, and then these are coming off at an angle from that. So this is just one way of doing that. So I'll just show you how to put this type of thing together. I'm not going to build the whole thing. I'll just build the relevant parts. So here's the base. The box design, we start with the central piece. This is going to stick in the middle. This is where we have these pieces. These are what give it the angle to the spine. So you're going to have two pieces that fit on like this. And the chairs with the figures on are going to come off the sides of this. And the central bit of the box is going to fit in there. So I'll start by putting this in. The dimensions I've got for this particular one, it's 7 centimeters long, 6 centimeters high. It's got a tab on the bottom to stick it to the base, a tab on the top to stick the top of the table onto, and then it's got these at each end to stick these angled pieces onto. So I'll just start with the one sticking it to the base. And I need to cut this back a bit because these orange pieces, the way they stick down, this angle is 30 degrees on each side. So the orange piece, this piece, is going to stick down like a V-fold, but at 30 degrees on each side of the spine. So the ends of this piece have to go right up flush into that corner. And it means I've got to cut off some of this base tab so it doesn't go over those lines. So I need to cut these back quite acutely, really. So now that's going to fit on without interfering with the pieces sticking on there. And then you have two of these orange pieces that are going to go one on each end. It's a straight line with two flaps that are going to stick it to the base. And then at the top you've got two triangles. They're each 15 degrees. And on the outside edges, they're each 75. So that gives you a total of 180. So it gives you a straight line. So these fold in. Again, I need to cut these right back so they don't interfere with the other parts. So hopefully that will now fit onto there. Yeah, that's okay. I haven't creased these creases yet, so I'll just crease those. As I've marked the 30-degree angles on each side, I can just stick it straight down. And it wants to stick onto the end of this central piece as well. That comes in there. The central bit sticks to one side of those triangles. That goes there, and that one comes around there. So I'll let you see the other side of it. I'm not going to build the whole model. I'm just going to build the basic parts that all fit together. So there would be another one that sticks on the other end. And it's these that hold the central piece, hold the whole thing stable. Because with a box, you have pieces that come up. It's all a whole series of parallelograms, which would be wobbly unless there's something holding them together. So this is the thing that stops it shifting. And then you have this piece. This is the tabletop. The radius is 5.5 centimeters. This is going to stick on like this. There's actually a slot in the top that if you look at this model, the way this piece goes down through a slot in the top of the table. This is a V-fold, this is an N-fold. They're covered in other tutorials, but this piece goes down through a slot. So on this tabletop, I've cut a slot that goes immediately above the central pillar, and then it's got these tabs on the outer edges, all parallel. The round edge of the table is going to stick onto. So I'll add this onto the top of the table now. Before I go on building the rest of the table, I want to start building out the characters that are going to be on the sides. I've broken it down into sort of simple parts. So this is a piece that's going to stick on there, and this is going to start lifting the chair that one of the characters is sitting on. It's just parallel folds. I've creased it hopefully well enough. So there's one crease, two creases. So I put the glue on one end. The end goes flush into the gully. It sticks on like that. And then the next section of the chair, I'm going to make the chair with a series of quadrilaterals. So this is a little parallelogram. That's going to stick on like that. So I put some glue on the bottom of it. This can go down, this can go in. I'll just check that that's going to work. We'll fold this up out of the way. That's the one thing I didn't check, was that orange worm. Okay, so ideally there'd be another one on the other side, so that balances it all and they'll be pulling against each other. And then the way I've worked out to make these chairs, the most simple way is this would be a seat. So it breaks up this shape of the rectangle. So I'll put that on there. This is an asymmetric quadrilateral, so I'll stick that onto there. Asymmetric quadrilaterals, these are on tutorial 6, I believe. So that sticks on there, so it's leaning back a little bit. I've made a more interesting back to the chair, so that can stick on there like that. And then whatever figure you're going to have at the table, you stick onto the front of it there. Now let's start looking at the table. So the box structure, there's a central pillar and then there's two bits on the outer edges. So I've made these two pillars that are going to hold it up. I probably should have made them double thickness to make them a bit stronger. They're going to be the same height as the central pillar, so that is 6 centimeters. You can add them in just a little way away from the center. Again, it's all parallel. So put one in here, and then we'll stick the bottom of it there, but we'll let it find its own natural sticking position. So I put the glue on it, and now that hopefully, now as this closes, this is going to be closed like that. This is going to come down like that. Where does it want to go? So that's one side holding up the table. This is the other side. I'll stick that in position underneath it. I've made these 1.5 centimeters wide, but ideally I would also have made them double thickness, just so that the whole thing is a bit more robust. Stick it on the underside, stick it parallel, put glue on the other end, fold the whole thing shut so it can find where it wants to go. Okay, I think I've got this piece is it's leaning a bit too much. I think probably I should have just made it more of a regular parallelogram. Maybe I'll change that in a minute. So now I've got this piece that's going to go round the whole table. So on the tabletop, I left a flap on each side. We can stick this piece onto. The radius is 5.5, so I think the whole circumference should be 33 with any luck. So I've made it 33 centimeters long with a tab on one end. So I'll just glue that and then offer it up to the table and hope that it fits. Maybe I should actually stick it on one side first and then come around. So you need the crease in the middle of this to be on the crease at the end of the table. Let's put some glue on there. So this is going on that corner. This is going round as tight as I can make it. Comes on round. That seems pretty good. And put some glue on that other tab. And then that should glue onto there. Not bad. Right, the problem there is that these struts aren't strong enough. And also there's a bit of glue all over the place. But anyway, not too bad. I think mine fits possibly better than this one, that when you close it, the tabletop isn't great with the edge around the table. And then I did make a rough display to go in the middle of the table. This is going to go in there, sticking onto the pillar in the middle, a little bit of glue on it. That will go through there. Now I'm really not happy with that. I'm going to just readjust this. I'm going to take that parallel fold off and make another one to bring the back of the chair up more upright. So you can just take a small piece like this, a little strip, put a tab on the end, and I think I could just make it quite square, because this is really just to hold up the figure that is sitting on the chair. So I've made the strip, put a tab on the end, glue the whole thing into a loop. So it's glued into a loop. Now you've got a piece like that. Now I can fold that in half again, so you know the whole thing is going to be symmetrical. It's going to actually make a square-shaped parallelogram box. So I can stick that in there. That's going to pull the back of the chair up more straight. So I put glue on two sides of that. Stick it into position. Close it, make sure everything is working. That should go. What's happened here? There we go. I think it's too much glue, but anyway, I think maybe I've got that piece pulling this up is a bit too long. Anyway, what I was thinking was this would be some sort of figure to go on top of the chair. It's going to be sitting there. So I'm still not quite happy with that bit, pulling that in, but how are these? Because all of these, they all lean in at different angles really. And so if you are making one of these, it's playing around with these lengths here. So you can, the basic table, that is how the basic table works. You can play around with these to adjust that angle, make it, well, for a start, that box is not very well stuck on the base there. So you can play around with those lengths, and that will affect the angle, whether they're really leaning back or sitting up. And I think this strut should probably be double thickness. If I'd made 4 to go like in the book, so there's another one on that side, there's another of these orange pieces at the other end with 2 more chairs coming up, the whole thing would be, the tensions in it would all be balanced, and so then I think the whole structure would work a bit better. So yeah, it's a bit rough and ready, but hopefully you get the idea. Not my best, but in some ways not too bad. You get the idea. It's how all these different ingredients go together to make quite a complex spread.